Hello guys, welcome to the MisFit Podcast. I'm your host, Laksh Sarcelle, and this is episode 3, my advice to my younger self and the youth.
I've got plenty dirty laundry here, it won't disappear. Made some bad decisions, now I wanna hide away. Heavy, I can feel the fear. Cupid's getting bored in here. Sometimes wanna shed a tear. Jumped off when
So, my general advice to my younger self and the youth in general would be to actually consume as much knowledge as possible. This also involves things like actively analyzing your geological, political, and economical events. My second piece of advice, which is directly linked to the first, which is consuming knowledge, is read as much as possible. So I'm going to give you 2 books that I would definitely recommend reading, and also a bunch of tips to hopefully improve your life. So we're going to dive straight in. Book 1 is The Gentleman's Book of Etiquette and Manual of Politeness by Cecil B. Hartley. It was written in 1873, so it's definitely an older book, and it's written for young men in particular. The lessons found within will improve your ability to be able to network. So I do have some points written down, which I do briefly want to touch on. So the book covers within it a wide array of topics, from conversation, street etiquette, courting, older things from the time period, things like ballroom etiquette, which if you're perspicacious, you can apply today. And so upon reading the Cecil Hartley's book, I found in my own life, upon implementing it and having a couple of read-throughs to make sure I understood all the viewpoints and actually analyzed the book properly, I found myself gaining access to rooms that I wouldn't be able to get into without having have read the book. This directly looked like me being able to get in touch with the top 1%. So since having read the book, I actually became a lot more, I would say, present and aware of how I behave, how I talk, my small mannerisms, from the way I sit to the way I greet people. All of those things have a profound impact on how people perceive us. So since reading the book, one of the things which happened, like I said, was gaining access to those rooms. However, also beyond this, beyond just gaining access, is having those high net worth, top 1% individuals want to speak to me. And this is because I've been able to distinguish myself from the rest of the people because of the way I behave. To dive into this a little bit deeper, the book covers, like I said, a wide array of topics. In street etiquette, for example, it covers what side of the pathway you should walk on, depending on if you're walking with a friend, a female you're courting, a younger individual whom you have a responsibility of care upon. What you will learn is, as you start implementing what it says in the book, so a direct example, for example, is what side of the pathway you should walk on, or how you should guide people through a doorway, or if you should go up the staircase or down the staircase first or second, etc. What you'll realize is the people that you're around regularly and non-regularly as well will start to feel a lot safer. And I've had people say this in general. You would have seen in the episode with Angel, for example, it provides them with a sense of safety because you're very proactive on your approach on situations. So for example, when I walk with anyone now, walk closer to the road and let them have the inside. The idea being that if something were to happen, I'm the first line of defense. That being said, if we're walking through a dodgy neighborhood at night and there's some people on the inside side of the road, that's probably more of a threat than the actual road where the cars are. So I will go on the inside to create that safety barrier. It's just about being proactive. So that would be my first book recommendation, and I've only briefly touched on the topics. It also covers things like table etiquette, things like where you should hold your wine glass. A lot of people make the misconception and mistake that when you are fine dining, you should hold the wine glass here in between your two fingers, and they'll hold it by the bowl of the wine glass. What you're actually meant to do is hold the stem. And the wine glass was designed particularly like that so that your wine doesn't heat up. When you hold it like this, here, you end up increasing the temperature of your wine. When you hold it by the stem, however, it maintains the temperature for longer. So if it was a nice cold white wine, it will stay colder. If it was a room temperature red wine, it'll stay at room. So hold your wine glasses by the stem. There's also things like in what order you should use your cutlery, how you should hold your cutlery, a whole bunch of things apart from that. There's also things like church etiquette, there's funeral etiquette, there's how to court properly. So things like and this is a skill, let me highlight, this is a skill that most younger men don't have. It is the information and ability to court a lady properly. And when I say this, what I mean is that when I am out with a female friend or an acquaintance or a person I'm romantically interested in, there's a whole bunch of things that you do leading up to what you two are doing together, to when you have finished, that all contribute towards the experience. And what the book dives into is general things which are A, polite, 2, you should do just in general, and also it also dives into your male platonic relationships as well, things that you should do, shouldn't do, conversations that you should have, shouldn't have. And also the last one, it dives into how you personally contribute towards the atmosphere and environment of a setting. Excuse me. So An example of this is if you were at the finest casino in Monaco and everyone's wearing shorts and a Hawaiian shirt, it reduces and takes away from the ambience of that setting. It doesn't feel as luxurious and nice. So by dressing appropriately for that event, you directly improve and affect the overall feel of that setting. My second book, which I would recommend that to everyone to read, is The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, written in 1998. I'm going to preface this by saying read with caution and read carefully. It is one where if you aren't someone who is already a bit more mature, you can definitely go a little off the tracks with how you use the information within the book. I would also say only read it if you have a good moral compass and are fairly ethical. So now that I've given that disclaimer, the book dives straight into human psychology. In particular, how you can persuade someone and network more effectively and thrive essentially in all realms of human endeavor. It is called the 48 Laws of Power, so it focuses on how to have power. It focuses on how to have power in juxtaposition to where you are now, and also when juxtaposed with most of society. The reason that I recommend this book is, one, the persuasion skills help in just about any realm of life. Either you're trying to sell something, you're trying to convince someone of something, you're trying to come off a certain way, you're trying to just do anything, to be fair. So one is it helps you be extremely persuasive. The second thing that this book allows you to do and gives you the knowledge to do effectively is network. So when networking, it allows you to understand and comprehend the relation dynamics a lot more effectively. So this involves from meeting the person all the way to maybe being best friends to doing a business deal, whatever, right? It allows you to navigate that entire process a lot more smoothly without leaving room for error, and also allowing you to control the narrative during the entire process. So in a business setting, the information found within is invaluable because it allows you to control it the entire way. Give me 2 seconds, we're gonna take a short break and I'll be back. Pardon me for the short break. I am a little bit ill and under the weather, so needed to take a short break due to my lung capacity just not being all the way there at the moment. You know, it is what it is. However, going back to the 48 Laws of Power. So we've covered dot point 1, which was persuade, dot point 2, which was networking effectively, and dot point 3 was implementing it in a way that allows you to thrive in all realms of endeavor. However, the reason for recommending this book is actually beyond just the laws and rules it provides, right? The reason I've recommended this book is because it gives you 48 unique stories drawn straight from history, which conversationally will make you much more engaging and a unique person. Because you can, for example, if you don't know basic history or history in depth, the book arms you with enough stories to be engaging and interesting and witty in just about any setting. Historically, when it comes to using history in conversations, you can use it when courting a lady, you can use it when you're out with friends, you can use it in a professional setting, just anywhere in life you can use those stories. And what it does is it gives your character more depth. So beyond this, I would say when you conflate and combine the lessons from both books, books 1 and 2, you end up being a lot more analytical of how you present yourself, B, a lot more analytical on how you interact and your mannerisms, and C, you're a lot more holistic in your approach to make sure it meets the narrative of who you ideally want to be. To touch on that last point a little bit more, what I mean by that, is essentially it allows you to have a very uniform sort of approach to life where everyone will view you in a similar or almost the same way. And the reason this is useful is you always know how people are going to perceive you and how something's going to come off, etc. Let's say you're with someone who is a work friend and someone who is family or a partner or whatever it may be. It allows you to act and behave in the same way, where you still come across as eloquent, elegant, articulate, masculine, or feminine if you're a lady and watching this, and come across as more refined, polished in general. The metaphor I would use to describe it is, so for example, a cheap $2 Bic pen, right? It gets the job done. It's not beautiful to look at, it's not beautiful to use, it's not the best at writing, but it gets the job done. You go from being a cheap pen to, for example, a nice fountain pen. To some people, yes, they're both pens. To the people that matter, one is a lot more refined, one is a lot more enjoyable to use, one is a lot more characterful, and that is directly what happens to you as a person upon reading and implementing these two books. So, now moving on to general advice I would give to younger individuals or my younger self. My first word of advice would be dress in a way where you can rock up to anything and not really be questioned. a lot of people will say, yeah, you can do that in a hoodie and sweats. You could, but I guarantee you wouldn't really get far in life. And this isn't to really like shit on hoodies and sweats, for examples. What I'm trying to illustrate is, especially to younger individuals, is dressing professionally will open a lot more doors when it comes to networking. And if you do want to be in that top 1% eventually, it'll get you a lot further than if you wear a hoodie and track pants everywhere. For example, I myself wear chinos generally, or suit pants, or dress pants with a quarter zip, a turtleneck, a button up, a polo. It's very basic items, right? But it's how you style them together to create a professional look, which is going to open more doors for you. The other thing is, get away from wearing very, I would say, outlandish jewelry. I made the mistake when I was younger as well, started making money from things like the marketing agency, etc. I ended up buying 2 diamond watches, of which I haven't worn either in, I would say, 1.5 years. I stopped wearing it probably towards the end of 2023, start of 24. But focus on elegance opposed to just loud in your face. Don't buy Supreme, don't buy Louis Vuitton. If you're going to buy those brands, buy their higher end stuff. You'll notice their highest end stuff doesn't have much branding. Buy things like that. I personally wear a LV belt, but it's very low key, very subtle. It is an accessory to my outfit. It isn't the outfit itself. For example, if you are wanting to purchase higher tier items of clothing, focus on buying nicer materials, things like Loro Piana. Focus on nicer brands that actually fit you, etc. Make sure your pants are tailored. All of that sort of stuff will have a larger impact than if you walk into a room wearing a Supreme Louis Vuitton hoodie and some, what's the brand called? I can't even remember. Bape, I think it is. The Bathing Ape or whatever it is. One of their pants or something. Dress professionally so you can walk into any room and thrive in that room. That would be my first word of advice. My second word of advice would be improve your vocabulary. By improving your vocabulary, again, you come off as more refined. You come off as someone more with a higher intellect. That's just a fact. Like, any IQ test has a vocabulary section. But beyond that, it is your ability to be able to communicate your ideas effectively. It is the ability to be able to illustrate your points. It is the ability to be able to persuade people as well. So, improving your vocabulary is a must. I personally have I am subscribed to a service that sends me a couple of words that I try and learn every single day. That's why you'll hear me use words which aren't very common. It's also just something that I enjoy doing. Another piece of advice that I would have, and probably the last piece of advice that I will give, is try to have a positive impact on everyone you come in contact with. You don't know how someone's day is going. So you trying to have a positive impact, regardless of who you're speaking to, where you are, could be the difference between someone going home thinking they had a shit day and someone going home and having a massive smile on their face. And you don't have to be super aggressive in how you approach this advice. But I personally try my best to make sure everyone around me is smiling and feels appreciated, and when they go home at the end of the day, that at least the interaction with me was an overall positive experience. What this will do in the long term is, A, it'll make you a lot happier. As a guy, there's a lot of the ways we do get happy is through like short-term sort of things. Having and being a more positive person to be around is one of those things that will make you happier long-term. And the last sort of thing that I would say is it'll make the people that you're around often a lot more pleasant as well. And I'm someone that believes in karma as well. By being a positive sort of person, you prevent any sort of negative karma from coming your way. This could be as simple as something small or something big as well, but yeah, be very active in how you approach things. So guys, just some final closing thoughts. My final closing thoughts would be, A, be yourself. Be refined and polished as possible. Don't misconstrue what I said about styling, etc., as you have to dress super professional all the time. It's about making sure you fit into what you want to do. So for me, for example, that meant I knew I wanted to be someone who is a very business focused. I have very high ambitions for myself, so I dress extremely professionally because I know if I meet someone I want to network with, I would rather be dressed in a manner where I am extremely confident, I look refined, I look polished, I look like someone who knows what they're saying, knows what they're doing. Same thing with like who you want to attract into your life in general, just be extremely aware of that. I would also recommend being and treating life like a video game. So if you've played GTA 5 or any RPG, you know you want to max out your stats, max every aspect of your life out to the best of your ability. So either that's finance, charisma, vocabulary, mannerisms, etiquette, knowledge, your health. What else is there? Fitness. Everything. Just try and max out as much as possible. And I guess that would be the end of episode 3. I think I've covered just about everything I wanted to. It is a shorter episode, again. I think most of the episodes without guests will be shorter, and the ones with guests will end up being slightly longer. But it's been your host, Laksh Sarcelle, and this was episode 3, Advice to My Younger Self and the Youth in General.